In a shocking turn of events, 77-year-old billionaire Kosuke Nozaki's marriage to 22-year-old Saki Sudo raised eyebrows across Japan. Just 3 months later, Nozaki was found dead, and suspicions quickly turned to his young wife. Despite a lack of concrete evidence, authorities were troubled by Sudo's seemingly emotionless demeanor following his death. Welcome to Eye for an Eye. In today's episode, we uncover the chilling investigation into the murder of a husband and his beloved dog. Kosuke Nozaki was a controversial figure, known for his unconventional lifestyle and extreme views on money and sex. Born on April 13, 1941, he was the third son of 7 children, raised in a modest family. Despite his troubled youth, which included dropping out of higher education, Nozaki eventually inherited his family's store and used the inheritance to start his own businesses, including real estate and a loan shark operation. Nozaki's wealth grew significantly, but so did his notoriety. He became known as a playboy, spending vast sums of money on over 4,000 women, both paid and unpaid, whom he believed to be the meaning of life. His unorthodox lifestyle and questionable business practices led to tensions with his family and legal issues, including a prosecution for tax evasion. The circumstances surrounding Nozaki's death only added to the intrigue of his life. Saki Sudo, his young wife, was suspected of foul play, but without concrete evidence, authorities struggled to convict her. Despite the lack of a legal conviction, the case of Kosuke Nozaki remains one of Japan's most bizarre and puzzling true crime stories. When he wrote his autobiography, Don Juan of Japan, which was published in December 2016, he focused on how he made himself a wealthy man. Although this book may not have taken off on its own, it was eventually featured in an episode of AIM Talk, a popular TV show in Japan, which, combined with a couple of interviews, propelled his book into becoming a bestseller. In 2017, Kake planned to settle down and find love, which led him to encounter a young woman named Saki Sudo. Despite his age, she was 55 years younger, at 22. According to his book and interviews, they met at Tokyo Haneda Airport, although there are reports suggesting they met in less exciting ways. After spotting her in a crowd, he purposefully fell in front of her to grab her attention. They ended up having drinks in an airport lounge, and although Sudo was just another number among his 4,000 women, she would soon become much more than that. Several months later, they officially married. Nozaki gave his new wife a contract stating that she didn't have to cook, clean, or do any housework, and she received 1 million yen a month in pocket money. It seemed that Nozaki was ready to slow down and enjoy the remaining years of his life with someone by his side, be deeply in love with her older husband. Over the following weeks, the media captured several images of Kake and Saki together, often accompanied by his beloved dog named Eve. They were seen walking the dog, taking trips to the mall in his Mercedes, and dining at fine restaurants. Life seemed comfortable, and it appeared that Kake had found an excellent way to live out the rest of his years with Saki and Eve by his side. The problem is that the rest of his years would not be very long because only 3 months after marrying Saki, he would be dead. Let's first rewind 18 days before his death because, unfortunately, another tragedy happened on May 6, 2018. In the early morning hours, Keiki woke up to the sound of yelping. His dog Eve had started fitting and thrashing uncontrollably and was visibly in a great deal of pain. Although Kake was prepared to take her to the vet, it was sadly all too late, with her dying several minutes later in his arms. The news devastated Kake. Eve was his pride and joy, the one true love that stuck by him for over a decade, and in her shadow, he was distraught with the empty feeling of loss and grief. The following day, he hired a monk to help host a ceremony for her. Eve passed away under very strange circumstances. Not that it would matter for long though, because 18 days later, on the evening of May 24th, Kay himself was dead. The man was found almost entirely naked on his bedroom couch, slumped over in a precarious manner. An autopsy conducted on his body found that Kake had an aggressively lethal dose of stimulants in his body, far more than what's required to kill a man. As a result, it was concluded that the cause of his death was acute stimulant poisoning, caused by ingesting a large amount of stimulants all at once. Detectives observing the home surveillance footage confirmed that the only people to enter the property in the hours before his death were his wife and his cleaner. Apparently, Cake had spent most of the day arranging a funeral for his dog. His cleaner was present for most of the day, leaving at around 4 p.m. to run several errands. Cake left Saki downstairs at around 6 p.m. to make several phone calls upstairs, and shortly after this, his cleaner returned at around 6:30 p.m. While Saki and the cleaner watched TV downstairs, they heard a thumping coming from upstairs. Although the cleaner asked Saki to check on him, she shrugged it off. Instead, at 10 p.m., and still with no sign of Kake, the cleaner once again asked Saki to check in on him. That is when the woman found him dead in his bedroom. With Kake busily preparing his dog's funeral, it is quite unlikely that he intended to take his own life. So, with that in mind, there is one burning question. Who put stimulants in his food or drink? After his funeral, Saki wanted to leave Japan for friendlier shores, but instead, COVID-19 travel restrictions came into play. Both the police and Nozaki's family suspected that Sudo may have murdered her husband. Japanese media reported that searches for stimulant drugs were found on her computer and phone. Sudo was charged in 2021 with murder. Thank you for watching Eye for an Eye. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Remember to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. If you have any thoughts or theories about this case, feel free to share them in the comments below. Stay tuned for our next episode.